Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. I'm not going to waste it either. This is going to be a very quick podcast here today. It's going to be a rapid fire edition of the State of the Saints podcast, and you already know what that means. That means that the person that was here first is going to win something, and that is Jerry. So shouts out to Jerry. You will receive something from your boy. You can go ahead. I think I already got your email address already. Or not email, but your actual email. But just send it to me again, Jerry, and I'll email you a gift courtesy of the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate that. That's one of these rapid fire episodes. That's what it's all about here. Basically it's not a long show. It's probably like maybe 20 minutes, right? It's not, I don't even really call it a podcast episode. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Saints quarterback Tyler Shough. And, is it a bad thing, if he is not named a starter for the 2025 season? And the reason I decided to have this as a topic for the rapid fire episode of the State of the Saints podcast, it's simple. It's because this was an article that I was actually reading. It's come from sportingnews.com. And, it basically was talking about would it be looked at as a disaster, or would it be labeled a disaster if Tyler Shough isn't able to get the starting job? Now, I'm going to read a little bit of this for you all. All right. Once again, this is courtesy of sportingnews.com. It says, while the New Orleans Saints might be destined. Well, let me go ahead and pull it up so you all can follow along with me here. Let me go ahead and pull that up so you all can see what I'm actually seeing right now. But anyway, here it is. It says, while the New Orleans Saints might be destined for another 5-12 season, they might have stunted their growth as a team by drafting Tyler Shough with their second round pick. Shough, who is going to be 26 in September, has an advantage over fellow quarterback Spencer Rattler because he is older and he played in college for a long time. He is experienced as a rookie can be. Then the team drafted him so high at number 40 overall. That is the average fan expects. Someone drafted this high must be in line for a starting job. Locked On NFL, Tyler Rowland and I shared the same opinion on Shough. We can talk about how Tyler Shough has an advantage because he was the guy drafted by the current regime. That's great, but Tyler Shough has an advantage because he's older as well, and I mean he's older than Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is going to be 25 in September, and Shough is going to be go up to 26. So, to me, it would be an outright disaster if Shough cannot beat out Rattler, even if Shough, being a rookie, because you drafted a quarterback this old who has been in college for 7 years. He backed up Justin Herbert at Oregon, and that's how long Tyler Shough has been in college, Roland says. We'll go ahead and we'll stop right there. Look, I don't know how or why all of a sudden, just because a guy is 25, 26 years old, that just means that he just needs to be the starter. Like, I understand what the modern day NFL is all about. Hey, this guy has been, in college, and he should be able to go out there and be a first time starter and then be able to light it up. But back in the day, I mean, quarterbacks used to sit on a bench, and 25 and 26 years old, that was around the time when they used to come off the bench and be able to do something. I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers sat on a bench and waited for Brett Favre. And, Aaron Rodgers was still up there in age. He was probably like around 25 or 26 when he got an opportunity to start. You think about like some of these other quarterbacks, that are out here, they took time on the bench. And I just think that is a little bit of a lost art. And because it's a lost art, some people are not looking at it like, oh man, this guy is just trying to develop. They don't look at it that way. They just look at it like, oh, he's not good enough to play. If Tyler Shough cannot or does not start for the New Orleans Saints in 2025, then that means that Spencer Rattler has done an outstanding job. He is actually better than some people would give him credit for. And also it's a good thing if you are the New Orleans Saints being in this position, because you have yourself a 5th round draft pick that you drafted, pick number 150, and he's going out there looking like a starter. And it also gives Tyler Shough an opportunity to be able to sit on a bench, and he won't be under so much pressure. Like, nobody is really clamoring for Tyler Shough to go out there and be the starting quarterback. Not me, at least not people that I've talked to. For the most part, they are like, man, if he wins the competition, then let him start. But it's not to a point where everybody just anticipating this, right? I'm pretty sure you have some Saints fans that are anticipating him starting. But at the end of the day, I don't think too many people are going to lose any sleep if he doesn't end up starting for the New Orleans Saints. But let's go ahead and rapid fire this thing. Start reading some of your comments. Let's go ahead. And says, I enjoyed TFZ Monday night. Yeah, I mean, the Flex Zone, a podcast, shouts out to them, man. They had me as a guest on the show. And I had a good time, man. It's always great when people start, asking you questions outside of the realm of where you actually are known for. Like, most people know me from, the Saints podcast and talking sports and talking Saints, but got opportunity to kind of talk about something else I like a lot, which is wrestling, so that was a great thing. They do a all around sports podcast channel over there where they talk about NBA, NFL, as well as professional wrestling. And anybody that knows me knows that I love wrestling, so that was pretty cool, man. So if you didn't check it out, please do, and subscribe to the Flex Zone YouTube channel. Jared says, I got an early birthday present. Yeah, man, look, that's how these rapid fire shows go. That's why, it pays to be the first person to be off in this thing. I can't do them all the time because everybody would just, try to anticipate it. But, that's why I have these pop-up episodes. Says Saints should worry about their fan base. They eat their own. Yeah, pretty much. And that's the reason why you don't want to have Tyler Shough out there just jumping out there, and being unprepared just because, you feel the pressure of the fan base, trying to lobby for him. I feel like that was a mistake last season that they did with Spencer Rattler because they didn't give Rattler a fair shake. It was more so due to Spencer Rattler's popularity and the mystery surrounding Spencer Rattler. And I think the Saints made a business decision by allowing Spencer Rattler to start over Jake Haener, because, if you didn't think that Spencer Rattler was ready, which clearly he wasn't, and then you combine all of the missing pieces that you had, it was honestly not fair to him to put him out there. So you should be able to learn from your mistakes. No reason to be mad if he doesn't best a second-year quarterback and still shows something. Then we got a starter and a good backup. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I think people are putting too much emphasis on Tyler Shough's age. That's my thing. Like, everybody's talking about, oh, he's 26, so he's going to be 26 at the start of the season. Like, this dude 40 years old or something. Like, we know how the rules are kind of skewed towards quarterbacks and how they want to keep these quarterbacks upright. So this guy, if he ends up starting at 27 or whatever, like, so what? Like, he might end up playing 13 years if he's good enough going into his 40s. So I don't really look at it that way, man. I'm not looking at a guy's age. I just think that too many people put emphasis on that anyway. And then if you think about it, if you have these starting quarterbacks coming out of college when they're 20, 21 years old, a lot of them aren't ready for the moment because they're just thrust out there. And it's so unfair to them because they can't afford to go through the motions because everybody is just waiting for them to fail so they can say that they're a bust. So, I feel like there's way more pressure on a young quarterback that's in his 20s, like early 20s, coming in starting right away than somebody that's been around and for a long period of time, when it comes to Tyler Shough. So either way, we're getting cheap contracts. Yeah. I mean, if Spencer Rattler ends up playing really well, then yeah, you have yourself kind of like a Brock Purdy situation where the 49ers were able to build around him because they had a quarterback that was so cheap. Shough not starting isn't a bad thing. It just means Spencer is living up to his potential. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but because Spencer Rattler is already, like, to me, it's an uphill battle for him. Like the Saints organization and Kellen Moore, they want Tyler Shough to be the starting quarterback. I'm not saying like they are going to push the issue, but if you was to put them on a polygraph test and ask, which one of these guys do you want to be the starting quarterback of the Saints? If they don't say Tyler Shough, then that line gonna just start moving. Like, they want this guy to work out. You're not gonna draft him as high as you did if you don't want him to work out. Like, this is like historical territory that we're talking about here. So for you to draft a quarterback as high as you have since 1971, like, you expect for that guy to possibly be your starting quarterback of the future. And, if it doesn't pan out and Spencer Rattler ends up like beating him out, then guess what? This is a great thing because Spencer Rattler, we already know how talented he is as a quarterback to throw up the football. So if he can put it all together and he can go out there and ball the freak out and the Saints can win some games, then this is a great situation to be in. I'm worried that none of our quarterbacks have won an NFL game. Well, that's I can understand why that can be concerning, but I trust Kellen Moore to be able to come up with a game plan that works for this team. Rather is him looking at Alvin Kamara to be the leader, the one that's you can build your offense around. We see Philadelphia kind of do it with Kellen Moore, where he used Saquon Barkley as the feature guy, and then you had all those other offensive weapons that were around him, but he was the straw that stirred the drink. So I expect for Kellen Moore to come up with a game plan. This is a young, inexperienced room, but to me, I just wonder, like, what would a quarterback that pretty much flaked out in the National Football League is going to do for you, right? I mean, if you was to go sign, like, I don't know, Carson Wentz or something like that, like, what can Carson Wentz in 2025 do for you? Now, if this was like 2017 Carson Wentz, then we talking that talk. But when it comes to 2025, like, he's just a guy that just bounced around the NFL for a long period of time. You probably have a little bit more confidence in him winning a football game for you because you've seen him win. But, all these guys need is a fair opportunity. When we talk about Spencer Rattler, he was placed in a bad situation, like, plain and simple. Tyler Shough is, a rookie, a guy that's inexperienced. And now you add a coach that is experienced when it comes to play calling, experience when it comes to getting the best out of players at certain positions. So when you combine all that, I think that you can have something. And then also, this is something that we've been asking for a long time. Like, regardless, like, if you had a rookie quarterback or a young inexperienced guy, like you're probably going to be dealing with situations like this. The only thing about it is, like, as a Saints fan, we haven't seen this in like probably ever in your lifetime, where you have guys on a team that never really produce on the NFL level, or guys that really are trying to learn how to become professionals in real time. But this is what we've been wanting. We've been wanting a rebuild. A rebuild, kind of starts that way. It's a lot of uncertainty. It's a lot of question marks because it's uncharted territory, like this uncharted waters that you're in. So you got to be able to kind of work your way through it and maneuver through these uncharted territories. But I like it. Like it's good to wake up in the morning and know that I'm always going to have something to talk about, because I'm not sure what angle the Saints are coming at, this time around. Like, because, they're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to figure out what they're doing. What's good, TJ? In your opinion, what do you think is our greatest strength on this current team? I honestly, just looking around this team, I don't know if they really have like a glaring strength, like, like something that just stands out. I guess you can say maybe the running back position, because you got Alvin Kamara out there. Kendre Miller, he's had some issues, but I mean, he's talented. We know Clyde Edwards-Helaire is talented. We know Devin Neal, on a collegiate level, has shown us some things. So I would say the running back room. I mean, you can't say quarterback right now because, you don't know what you have there. You can't really say offensive line right now. I mean, they got some good talented guys, and they're showing that they're trying to build up this offensive line, and it seems like it's going to get better. But right now, I would probably have to say the running backs. I wouldn't say the linebackers, because, you got to look at Demario Davis. I mean, as good as he's been, but he's up there in age. Pete Warner, he's talented, but, there's injury history there. So I can't really say that. I can't say the defensive line, because we know that they don't get enough pressure on the quarterback. So I guess you have to say the running back position as of right now. Let's see, TJ, I think a lot of Saints fans are sleeping on Tyler Shough. He's going to shock the NFL if he's the starter. Well, I think that a lot of Saints fans don't really know that much about him. Like, Tyler Shough's name just kind of rose up the ranks, like, after the Senior Bowl. Like, that's when everybody really started talking about him and talking about all these good qualities and saying all these positive things about him. And it's just like, man, where did he come from? And we see this all the time. He is getting what they call that Trey Lance treatment, right? Trey Lance was coming out of North Dakota State. Everybody was talking about him. Everybody was, excited about him. And, they talked about his potential. And I mean, he was a top 5 pick, and we know how, Trey Lance's career has been over the last couple of years. I mean, he got drafted high by the 49ers. They realized that was a mistake. He ended up going to the Dallas Cowboys and basically just been bouncing around the league. Had opportunity to play and threw 5 interceptions the last time we saw him. So, that's another one of the guys that I kind of lobbied for and said some things about, because I thought that he would end up being something. But I was terribly wrong about that. But that's just the way that it goes sometimes, man. Says, I'm going to be honest. I like Carson Wentz, just hated for him, injury prone, inconsistent, hasn't been the same since he tore his ACL. I mean, he tore everything else, man. He tore the ACL, tore the MCL, tore the LCL, the NAACP, the FBI, the CIA, everything in his leg he tore, man. And it was unfortunate, man, because you remember, like, he was walking on a cane at one time. But before he got injured, man, a lot of people forget, prior to that Rams game where he got hurt, like, he was up for the league MVP, and he probably would have won it. But, unfortunately, that injury happened, and he never was the same. If we get good play from any one of these quarterbacks, we'll be better than people think. Yeah, I mean, you want to fly under the radar sometimes. It's probably best that people can't see you, arrive, right? Let them underestimate you. Let them think that it's going to be a quick dub real quick, and I'm going to hop in my car, hop on the jet and go back home. Let them believe that. But just go out there and perform well. Like, we know that the Saints got off to a roaring start at the beginning of the season. Then injuries start to pile up, and it just became a disaster. So, like, sometimes you need that battle of attrition. You need to win that in order for you to be able to generate levels of success. Everyone thought that the Saints were drafted Shadur Sanders, but that didn't happen. Everyone can't be happy. Well, that's just the truth. Like, a lot of people wanted Shadur Sanders to be the starting quarterback or be the quarterback of the Saints. But, it didn't happen. And, you can't, like, there's no time machine. You can't, get in the DeLorean and crank it up to 88 miles per hour and go back in time and, like, jump into the body of Mickey Loomis and make that call. You can't. Like, Shadur Sanders is with the Cleveland Browns, and the Saints drafted Tyler Shough. And if you're a Saints fan and you love this football team and you want to see this team succeed, you want this team to be at their best, like, you want to see Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler, want them to succeed. No disrespect to Jake Haener, no disrespect to Hunter Deckers, but it just is a huge climb for them to even be in this conversation right now. You want to see this guy succeed. So, there is no Shadur Sanders in New Orleans, right? There is no Shadur Sanders. So, as far as I'm concerned, man, you got to root for Tyler Shough, got to root for Spencer Rattler. And having these conversations about, oh, this guy ain't it, or that guy ain't it, that's not going to be beneficial. It's not going to be beneficial to the Saints season, and it's not going to be beneficial to your sanity either. Because I'm pretty sure, like, you don't want to see the Saints just get slapped around every single week. And I've been curious why people really wanted Sanders on the Saints. Well, I just think that it was just the way that he carries himself. You know what I'm saying? The confidence that he rocks with. A lot of people feel like that would, coincide with, with the city, like the energy, the confidence, the aura that New Orleans has. And people, feel like he would represent a true change because people understand his personality is different from the pretty much the basic everyday personalities of the New Orleans Saints players. Like, pretty much all of them kind of conduct themselves the same way, like, they're not going to really be, like, really boisterous, not like, like they just shy away from, like, conflict, nothing like that. But it's just like they just, they're really good worker ants, if I can use that as a term. But, Shadur Sanders, he has this confidence in himself. He has this belief in himself. And, sometimes when you have too much confidence in yourself, people don't like that. Like, they feel like it's going to be hard to kind of reel you in. It's almost I'm not saying Shadur Sanders is this, but I'm using this as an example. It's almost like trying to break a horse, right? Like when you have a wild horse out there, those cowboys, those ranchers, they tell the person to go out there and break them in, right? And, that person will get on their back and they'll take them on a ride, right? But they'll be bucking them up and down. But eventually that horse will just stop and just obey and just start walking, gingerly around. And that's how you have to break them in. Like some organizations, they don't want that, they don't want that wild horse. They don't want that Shadur Sanders. They don't want that personality where, you're wondering what he's going to say. You're wondering, is his soundbite going to rub people the wrong way? Is it going to make the organization be looked at as in a bad light? Will it be the topic of a Monday morning quarterback every single time? Some of these organizations like to fly under the radar. They don't like putting too much attention on themselves. They got two quarterbacks who have tools to produce, and even if Tyler never becomes the starter, that's fine. He's still only a second rounder. The pressure isn't that high, which is still a great thing for us. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I just think that people are trying to talk the pressure on the Tyler Shough. Like, they will say, like, well, Tyler Shough is a second-round draft pick. The expectations are high because the Saints never drafted a quarterback this high in a very long time. Like that, I don't feel like that has anything to do with it. I don't. Like, I just think that people are trying to talk this guy, into, like, having this pressure. But if you look around the National Football League, you look at second-round picks at the quarterback position, them dudes ain't starting. They not. Like if you were starting and a team drafted you, more than likely you probably would have been a first round draft pick. So saying, oh, he's a second round pick and he should be the starter of the Saints and all that kind of stuff. He should be good enough to start. Like the Saints drafted Calvin Banks with their first round pick. Like Calvin Banks should be a starter. Like we don't talk about Calvin Banks enough. Right? Probably because he's offensive lineman and we don't really talk about offensive linemen until like they stink. And then all of a sudden we talk about how bad they are, get that bum off the field, get him off my team. But he should be talked about. But a second round pick at the quarterback position more than likely don't pan out. I mentioned last night on the Flex Zone when I was being interviewed, I talked about Will Levis. Will Levis was a second round pick over 3 seasons ago by the Tennessee Titans. He was a second round pick, not a first round pick. Anybody remember like Tyler Shough not Tyler Shough, but Will Levis was supposed to be a top 5 pick. He was supposed to be the quarterback of the future for the Indianapolis Colts. But then instead they got Anthony Richardson instead of Will Levis. And then all of a sudden, Will Levis goes out there and it shows. It shows that, he played like a second round pick. Thus the reason why the Tennessee Titans drafted Cam Ward as their future quarterback with the first overall pick. Having a second round pick at the quarterback position, that just means that, there's a high probability that you're going to see the field. But as a quarterback, more times than not, you're going to be a backup. Drew Brees was a second round draft pick. Doug Flutie was the starter. You could talk about maybe Derek Carr. I think maybe he was a day one starter with the Vegas Raiders. But that's pretty rare, man, that you have a second round draft pick as a starting quarterback right out the gate. Because teams feel like, oh, well, if he deserves to start, maybe we would have drafted him in the first round. So there you go. Let's see, TJ, I don't know what my new gift from you will be, but whatever it is, I'll enjoy it from you. Yeah, man, I got to see what I got to see what I have, man. I got some things at the office, that, I got to look through it and make sure that I send it to you, because I remember, I sent you a grooming kit last time, courtesy of Manscaped. So I gotta check, and see what we have, man. But I'll make sure that I send you something nice. TJ, the only big body receiver out there are Michael Thomas and DJ Chark. Do you think they still have what it takes? They both are 6'3". Well, look, I think that Michael Thomas hasn't played football in a while. But I trust his ability and his skill set. DJ Chark, I trust his skill set. But, I said this on the last episode. None of those gentlemen are going to come in and just change your misfortunes. Even with Michael Thomas, Michael Thomas wouldn't be the Michael Thomas that we seen just take the lead by storm. Like he wouldn't be that guy. Like he would be probably somebody that you can rely on third down, short yardage situations, but he's not going to be the Michael Thomas that we seen that was a Saints phenom around this thing. So whoever you end up getting in free agency, to me, is not going to be that guy that just changes your offense or something. Like I've said that it's going to have to happen during the draft. Like you're going to have to draft your next star wide receiver, right? The Jeremiah Smiths, the Ryan Williams, the guys like that, even though I think both of those guys were true freshmen, so they ain't coming out. But at the end of the day, it's like, you got to get somebody that's going to go through the draft, that's somebody that you can actually put some years and really truly invest in, and not just some, and not just, just have some guy just because he's tall. You want somebody that's going to be able to contribute. And finally, it says, hey, TJ Rattler showed nice flashes last year. He has a good ceiling if he can put it together. He has an alpha dog mentality and is putting in work to reach that ceiling. Yeah, that is true. And we know that Spencer Rattler, for the most part, played well in games. Like we joke around and say that if first half Spencer Rattler, it shows up in the second half, then the New Orleans Saints probably would have their starting quarterback. Y'all know how good he would play in the first half. And then all of a sudden teams will go into the locker room, make those adjustments, and the next thing you know, he's not as effective as he was in the first half. So if he can put it all together, man, and put together one huge sample size in a game, one game at a time, then I think that, Spencer Rattler can find success. He's not terrible, right? I mean, go look at his stats, like especially like in those first half of those games that he started. Like if the game ended, like you would say, oh man, I think the Saints found something. He just has to put it all together. But Tyler Shough has a huge chance because they're going to give him so many different opportunities in order for him to try to get that starting job. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Spencer Rattler, but it's good to know that he is not taking his line down. And if you're going to not offer him the job, but you're going to take him up out of here off the field, he's going to go kicking and screaming. And that's all you can ask for a stiff competition between two guys that really want to be a starter in the National Football League. But I want to say thank you for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. You can follow me on X at TJAY Jones8. Also, check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Bleacher Report. Also, special shout out to those that are following me on Twitch. We're now streaming live on Twitch from now on. You can search State of the Saints. You'll be able to find me. If you use Twitch, you can use that and follow me. And also, I just want to say I appreciate everybody that checked out last episode on Memorial Day. I know there was a lot going on. A lot of people were off, but checking out that episode from on Monday, I really do appreciate your love and your support. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?